legal name for the court?
Yes, my name is Alexander Gorchnoy.
And Ms. Gorshnoy, where are you from?
I am from Little Odessa in Brooklyn, New York City.
Could you tell the jury a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I grew up on the streets of Little Odessa in Brooklyn, and I dropped out of high school at 16 years old to help with my family's business, and I never went to college. And then about 22 years ago, I moved down to Georgia, and I met Bobby Baccalaureate, and after he unfortunately passed, I integrated his business into my family's business, which I now run.
And could you describe your occupation in a little bit more depth?
Yes, so I run my family business, and one aspect of running that business is that I will loan money to people, and then they will pay me back that money.
And Ms. Gorshnoy, how did you first come to know Zoe Torrance?
Zoe Torrance is a client that came to me to get a loan to cover her gambling debts.
And how much money did she owe you?
Zoe Torrance owed me, at the time of her death, over $200,000.
And had she been making payments on that debt?
Yes, she was still consistently making payments, and she had already paid me back nearly $300,000.
Did you ever have any problems with Zoe Torrance?
Not really. You know, sometimes she would be a little bit slower paying me, or she'd pay me a little bit less than I would have liked, but she was still consistently paying me back.
And how would you describe your relationship with her?
It was a professional relationship. I thought Zoe was nice. You know, she was still consistently paying me back, and I didn't have any problems with her.
And Ms. Gorshnoy, have you ever had any previous run-ins with the law?
Yes, when I was younger, I did make some mistakes, and I did serve my punishment for those crimes that I did. However, those were over 10 years ago, and I've grown as a person.
And how were you charged in connection with Ms. Torrance's death?
At first, I was charged with Zoe Torrance's murder. However, they realized that there was no reason, way, or evidence that I did this, so they dropped the charges.
And where were you around 9 p.m. on September 27th?
I was across the square from the Georgian Bistro on Campbell Street.
And why were you in that area?
I was in that area because I was waiting for Zoe to come out of the restaurant so I could talk to her.
And while you were there, what did you see?
I saw Zoe, and she was standing outside of the restaurant, and she was looking up at the sky, smoking a cigarette, and then I saw Logan, and he came out of the restaurant, and he was furious.
What happened next?
Then Logan started yelling at Zoe, and he started saying things such as the restaurant was going bankrupt, and they would have to close, and it was all Zoe's fault because of her gambling debts.
What else?
Then I saw Logan, and he had a knife with around a 10-inch blade, and he started waving it in Zoe's face, and he forced her back into the restaurant with the knife.
Did you remain in the area after they went back inside?
Yes, I did.
And during that time, did you see Logan leave?
Yes, I saw Logan leave the restaurant at around 10:30.
Did you ever see Zoe leave that night?
I did not.
And Ms. Gorshnoy, did you murder Zoe Torrance?
No, I did not murder Zoe Torrance. Zoe was one of my clients, and she was still consistently paying me back the money that she owed me. There was no reason for me to kill Zoe Torrance, because then I would never get back those over $200,000 that she still owes me.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, any questions from the defense?
Yes, Your Honor. You met Bobby Baccalaureate in 2008, correct?
When I moved to Georgia, I met him, yes.
And you are aware of his unfortunate death.
Yes, I am.
And you're aware that he was murdered.
Yes.
And even though he was murdered, you still decided to take over the business.
Well, after Bobby was murdered, somebody else did take over the business, but then he went to jail, so I thought that it was my duty, because I had been working for Bobby for a while before his death, to continue his legacy and continue his business.
And you didn't decide to leave after the homicide and jail sentences?
No, because I thought that I could make Bobby's business better and uplift it and continue his legacy while making sure it was becoming a better business.
You deny knowing anything about organized crime, correct?
I do not.
Yet you still keep tabs on the members that are in federal penitentiaries?
I don't. I simply know that Sam Pike went to jail.
And you claim that you're more smart in the streets, correct?
Well, I did grow up in Little Odessa in Brooklyn, and I dropped out of high school at 16, so I did learn most of my knowledge out on the streets, just living life in New York.
And you denied doing any loan sharking.
I'm not a loan shark.
Yet you say you're very persuasive with your clients.
Yes, I have a very persuasive personality, and I'm a charming person.
And you provide no official paperwork when providing these loans.
I simply just have a ledger, and I keep track of the money.
So nothing that the client has to sign.
No.
All right. And you provide loans to struggling clients.
Usually people that will come to me for a loan are struggling with financial.
And you provide unofficial interest-bearing loans.
I simply loan people money, and then they'll pay me back that money.
And you provide them the loans no matter what state they're in or what their previous financial past is.
I don't really look into people's financial past. People simply come to me for money, and then I will give them that money, and then they'll pay me back that.
And you say yourself you stake out your clients.
Sometimes when people owe me a lot of money, they will think about skipping out on town, so I'll simply try to keep up with them to make sure that they're not going to leave when they still owe me a large sum of money.
So by definition, you're a loan shark.
No.
Then you stay every time you go and meet in person with your clients, you bring Mickey Monahan with you.
Not every time.
Yet conveniently, that night that you were staking out Zoe Torrance, you didn't have him with you.
Yeah, I didn't have him with me. It was the Georgia-Alabama game, and Nikki is a big football fan, so we went to go watch it.
And you've had previous run-ins with the law.
Yes, I have, but I have learned from my mistakes, and for the crimes I've been convicted of, I served my punishment.
Including one with Dee Branch, who dropped your bribery charge.
He didn't drop my bribery charge got dropped because of an interference.
And you are only here in court today due to your deal where they will drop your loan charges.
I'm here in court today because I want the correct person to go to jail for the murder of Zoe Torrance.
Yet, all these conveniences, coincidences, and untruths were expected to believe you in court?
Like I said earlier, my convictions and my past crimes were over 10 years ago, two out of the three of them being over 20 years ago. And when I was a child, I have grown as a person, and I've learned from my mistakes, and I simply want justice for Zoe Torrance.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions.
All right, any redirect?
No.
All right, then it's been excused.
Yes.
All right, and for our next witness?
No, Your Honor, the state is.
All right, at this time the state is arrested. Does the defense wish to